I'm about to ruin my mother-in-law's life, and she honestly deserves every second of it. Story time. If you wanted to know what a bad human looks like, honestly, let me just introduce you to my mother-in-law. I've never ever met a worse human in my whole entire life. She's basically just never liked me since the jump. She honestly thinks my husband is her boyfriend. Like, she's one of them boy mums, okay? It has always made, let's just call my husband Mark, it's made Mark really, really uncomfortable. She would like force him to go on dates and stuff, like even when they got older. It weren't like a, oh, let's spend time together date, like a normal human being. I think in her head, she generally thought she was dating Mark. Basically, his mother-in-law has tried to break us up so many times and in like so many weird ways. Mark has a slight bit of OCD where, say like he organised our kitchen, for example, he organised like all the spices, and it's such like a little thing. If I didn't put the spices back where they originally were put, it'll send him in like a panic, basically. So I've been really, really cautious to make sure I am not doing that. And she would literally, every time she would come around our house, she would like move the spices around and then play dumb. And Mark would go crazy because he'd freak him out. And she would literally blame me. She would tell him that like I've cheated on him. She literally like AI'd a photo of me with another guy. Basically everyone, my mother-in-law, was getting annoyed with this situation because Mark was getting annoyed because he just saw straight through her. I was getting so annoyed. And then she started bringing our kids into it. She would feed our kids like misinformation about me and say like, oh, mummy's cheating on your daddy. She would like try and get my kids to call me an evil witch. But no, when you bring my kids into it, draw the line. So this is where the revenge starts, because I need to like get rid of this woman. And one thing I haven't mentioned about my mother-in-law is she is a dodgy businesswoman. I generally cannot say what I want to say, so that if this stuff got out about her, prison time. So I decided to mess with her a bit. So I started off by sending her a letter from like an anonymous person from her work stating all of the stuff like no one like family know. This like freaked her out and actually got her off our back for a little bit, and I was like, thank God. I was not about to stop there, okay? That was not enough revenge. After that, I like downloaded a fake number, I put it on like unknown, and I decided to call her. Basically, I would leave her these voicemails stating that like, I'm gonna tell the police everything if you don't hand yourself in. I carried this sort of stuff on, basically. Mark knew about this. So we both continued this on for about, I would say maybe like 2 months. We weren't sure what we wanted like an end result to be. We just kind of wanted to distract her from us for a bit. However, this woman goes and hands herself in to the police. We were so shocked when she did this, but I just can't believe we fully got rid of my mother-in-law like that.
I'm pregnant and my husband has been sleeping with my mother. Oh gosh. I, 26 female, have found out that my husband, 30 male, is sleeping with my mother, 52 female. I'm sorry, it's not funny, but it's just so weird. Why? Especially when it's in the family. Cheat with someone else. Cheat with the random, but why cheat with my mom? I honestly don't know how to react. I'm 4 months pregnant and I'm trying not to stress since it's bad for the baby. I honestly had suspicions about my husband cheating. When I announced my pregnancy, he seemed happy. Over the moon, actually. He was kissing me and telling me how lucky he was to have me, but now he changed. About 2 weeks after my surprise announcement, he stopped hugging me and kissing me like usual. He stopped eating the meals I'd make for him after work and said he already ate some fast food or something. I also noticed he had changed his lock screen, which was a picture of us. Not sure if that meant anything, to be honest. I found out 3 days ago. I went through his phone while he was in the shower and found text messages, videos, and pictures. I'm sick to my stomach thinking about what I saw. I saw pictures of my mom in lingerie and he was replying with pictures of his wee-wee, saying he was so hard for her. I even saw a message of regret. He had said that maybe they should stop since he didn't want to hurt me, but my mom said I wouldn't get hurt as long as they kept it all a secret. But what angered me the most was the message she sent a few days ago. I'll quote it here so anyone reading this can get an idea of how serious the affair is and has been. I love you so much, more than you think. You've helped me through the passing of my beloved ex-husband, and for that, I truly thank you. I know it is hard for you to keep a secret like this. For me, it is too. I love my daughter with all my heart, but she will have to accept eventually that love is love and that the heart wants what it wants. What are you, Selena Gomez? Like, chill out. Our hearts want each other. I thought that ever since my husband died, nobody would ever love me because I'm just an old woman, but you have shown me to love myself and made me feel young and sexy again. Let's keep having fun and cherishing each other. I think it's important to know my father passed away about 5 years ago from a stroke, and my mother said she refused to get back into dating or romance because my father is her forever love and only and only. It's absolute bullshit. I'm crushed that it's the fact that I know they had sex after that message because that was the night he didn't come home until 1 in the morning due to work and paid overtime. I actually threw up after reading the message. I have screenshots of the messages and have sent the videos to myself. Of course, I deleted them on his phone so it looked like he never sent me anything. I'm numb. I'm confused. I'm hurt so bad. I can't even cry because I refuse to believe it. My husband is at work. I'm sitting on the edge of my bed writing this. Any advice? You know what the top comment is? Yeetus that fetus, man. Oh my god, that is nasty as hell. In this situation, okay, I want your guys' opinion. Who do you blame more? Your mom or your husband? Because that's like a tough one. If you're a loving mom, right? As an aunt, I'm not a mom yet, but basically the same thing. I would do everything and anything to make that child happy and protect them. Why would you even look at your son-in-law that way? And then your husband, what? Like, that's disgusting. Why? Like, you're supposed to love me, only me, and you go after my mom, and I'm preggers? Shame, man. Honestly, you gotta get away.
My mother-in-law let my baby play with pills. I, 22 female, went to the store for 10 minutes and came home to find my mother-in-law sitting on the couch as my baby, 18 months, was playing around the living room. Her things in her purse were taken out by him, and he opened her bottle of magnesium pills and they were spread across the floor. I immediately picked him up and told her that this was very bad. She said it was okay because she was watching him and he was too smart to eat them. I don't know how she's really watching him as she's watching Netflix simultaneously. She has many different pill bottles in her purse. She speaks Spanish and I'm still learning Spanish, so it is difficult for me to communicate exactly how I feel. But I picked up my son in shock and began to rock him. I then texted my husband and told him what happened, and he immediately called her and they began yelling. She said how she hates that I never tell her, only him. I did tell her that it's not okay, but couldn't communicate exactly how I felt. She was very angry and was cursing in Spanish and stormed out. I'm very upset because she does these mindless things with him very often. Then says I'm too sensitive with my baby. I've many times said I'll never let her watch him again, that this has to be the final straw. It is just very difficult because I have very little help. Update, I just found a pill on our kitchen floor, meaning he took the pill over to our kitchen and completely was unsupervised.
I'm almost positive that my fiancé is engaged to me and another girl. I've been in a relationship with someone for just over 10 years. Our relationship has always been odd to me and my family, but I've always either ignored it or explained it away. However, I've been finding things that suggest he's been in a relationship similar to mine with another woman for about 15 years. All of this is super hard to explain because it's a roller coaster. I will try to be as thorough as possible without making this too convoluted. Since we began dating, there have been red flags. He would never spend the night. He would never let me over to his place. When I call, he never answers on the first ring. He lets the call go to voicemail and sends me a text saying he'll call me back. The list goes on, but he always had some reason for all of it. And I believed him because at the time I had no reason to doubt him. Throughout the years, I struggled with custody issues with my daughter, and he was there through all of it. Once all of the court drama had settled, I thought we would finally be able to move in together, get married, and have a child. But he always had a new reason why we couldn't move in together, and it was always mine or my daughter's fault. During this time, he had began renting a shed. In the shed were a ton of tools, knickknacks, furniture, you name it. But there were also women's clothes, accessories, and baking supplies. He explained this away, stating that a lot of those items were an ex's that he felt guilty throwing away, or they belonged to his aunt and cousins. He claimed to be close to his aunt, uncle, and little cousins, a boy and girl close to my daughter's age, so he would store items for them. This went on for years. I just blocked it out and played deaf and dumb to it until I found a handmade framed memento of the location where he met someone and where they got engaged. The engagement was dated almost 1 year before we had officially started dating. Mind you, we had been talking and flirting for almost a year before dating, so the memento was from a time when he was getting to know me. Thinking of that moment then, I thought I had overreacted, but knowing what I do now, I think it was an appropriate response. I took the memento out of the box and unframed it, trying to figure out what it was and if it had anything else to give me, a clue as to what I was looking at. He became upset because I was acting irrationally and taking apart this thing that was his. I don't know why I needed to look into it, but I did. After that, He started calling me crazy, saying that was really weird and creepy. Maybe it was. I don't know, but through our time together, I had never met his aunt, uncle, or little cousins he claimed to be so close with. And when they were in town, there were always reasons why we couldn't meet. At this point, I had suspected that something was wrong. Things never added up with us, and he kept me pocketed. He didn't want me to introduce myself as his fiancé. I was only a friend or a coworker. He didn't want to post pictures of us online or have any social media whatsoever. He became very hesitant when someone he knew saw us in public, so the act of him keeping this memento of a former relationship really made me stop and start paying attention more. I'm almost positive that my fiancé is engaged to me and another girl. I became more or less obsessed with trying to figure out who he was and what was really going on. He hid so much of his life from me, and he had his hands in everything I did. He told me how to talk, how to act, what to wear. He tracked me through my phone. He constantly checked my emails and texts, and he would stop by my work unannounced for no reason. Eventually, I started to find other odd things. About 6 months ago, now, we started going to the gym. At his gym, he uses an app to check in, and he's allowed one guest per visit. During one trip to the gym, he opened his guest passes, and right beside my name was another woman's name. I asked him immediately who it was. He claimed it was his cousin. The only cousins I ever knew about were too young to go to the gym. I got paranoid, I'll admit it. I decided to order a background check on him. Through my search, I found him and another woman, roughly our age, with the same name as the woman on the guest pass, at several addresses together over the past 10 to 15 years. Instead of showing him what I found, I reached out to this woman directly. I know I probably shouldn't have, but at this point, I felt like he had been lying to me for years. He contacted me almost immediately, saying that his aunt and cousins were really freaked out by my email and the pictures that I had sent of him, stating that it was highly suggestive and disturbing. Just to be clear, I did not send racy photos and I did not suggest anything inappropriate. I gave the reader a backstory of our relationship and simply asked if the person I was talking to was his cousin. That was it. Was this the right way to go about this? Probably not, but I needed answers and I felt like he wasn't giving them to me. He told me this huge elaborate story about how his cousin isn't in the country and she's working on getting her citizenship, so she has to look like she's actively working in this country. After he said all of this, I received an email from her telling me to never contact her again and saying the photos I sent of her cousin were extremely disturbing. Again, I definitely could have handled this differently. After that, I felt like a monster. Now, 2 days ago, I get a pocket dial from him. I say hello as usual and nothing from him but background noise. I thought maybe he pocket dialed me or maybe he did call me and he wanted me to hold. I stayed on the line and he talked to his friends about having to buy his milk at the gas station and he owes him $6. Then I hear him talk to someone else who sounds close. He says, "I'm sorry, I smell like hot dogs." Then the woman says, "Oh, you and your hot dogs." Then I hear rustling and he says, "Nice ass," the same way he would say when he normally grabs my ass. Then the woman says she baked him cookies. He said, "I love you." Then she said, "I love you too." After that, I could hear some dogs and him talking to them all cute. I was in shock. I know he had no clue I was on the phone. At that point, I tried to get his attention by yelling his name. He couldn't hear me, so I attempted to FaceTime. He declined. I FaceTimed again. He declined. I FaceTimed one more time. He declined. Then he calls me back. I started asking him why he didn't answer, and he cut me off. Normally I would let him, but this time I know for a fact what I heard. He denied, and came to my house. First thing he did was tell my daughter that I am paranoid and that he's not cheating on me. Then he comes into the room with me and tells me I'm paranoid and I'm hearing things. He went into this story about a barbecue and him playing around with one of his guy friends, telling me it's a misunderstanding and that I needed to calm down. He talks about having people corroborate his story and I need to talk to them. At this point, I don't know if I'm nuts or if he's lying. Today, I decided to check his cousin's baking TikTok to see if she posted a cookie recipe in the past few days. Sure enough, she did. I also found that she tagged her personal account, and I found her referencing him as her fiancé with his name and photo. She talked about a trip to Hawaii for their anniversary in 2015, a trip he told me he took for work. She talked about him buying her cakes for Valentine's Day and going wedding cake shopping. I screenshot everything. I know I'm not crazy. Admittedly, I have been acting crazy, but who wouldn't with all of this? I'm not sure where to go from here. I don't want to stay, but I'm isolated from my friends and family. I haven't been able to keep a job due to his paranoia. I have no money because he takes it. I have no vehicles of my own because I can't afford it. I don't know what to do. I can't live like this anymore. I'm almost positive that my fiance is engaged to me and another girl. I was able to get in contact with an old friend and 2 family members. We are meeting tomorrow to talk and come up with a plan to get somewhere safe. Also, a lot of you had suggested changing the locks. I actually did do that yesterday and I blocked him. I also made arrangements to be gone for the whole day and turned off location tracking. He called and texted me nonstop from a Google Voice number stating I needed to call him back, otherwise he was going to call the police or landlord to conduct a wellness check. I have cats in an apartment that does not allow pets. If the landlord finds them there, they could evict me. With that, I caved, and here I am now trying to keep him appeased while I reconnect with family and friends to get out. As far as contacting the other woman, I'm sure she's in a similar situation and I would love to help her, but I'm not sure where she's at in all of this. I don't know how much he's manipulated her or if she's being manipulated at all. From what I've found, she has been with him since 2005. She could be on it or she could be a victim too. I don't know. What I do know is that I did try to reach out to her and I got a response from someone that sounded like him. Update 2. Well, cat's out of the bag. I found several Instagrams of him at his first fiance's place. I don't know what possessed me, but I used a burner email account and tagged her in a reel with pictures of him at my place with a caption that says, "Your fiance looks exactly like my fiance. His name is blank too." He wanted to string along 2 women and now he'll have none.
I, 24 male, am worried that my sister, 26 female, has feelings for my girlfriend, who's 24 female. My girlfriend and I have been together for 2.5 years, and we have a really great relationship. My sister and I have always been close, so I was really happy when she and my girlfriend met and hit it off right away. They get along insanely well, and it's awesome, or was awesome. It might be important to point out that they are both bisexual. Everything was normal up until about 3 months ago. They started hanging out together more often than usual, taking day trips, and having sleepovers and going out for dinner, etc. I didn't care about it initially. I thought it was cool that the 2 most important women in my life were such good friends. Then my sister Amy started making comments saying that if we ever broke up, she's first in line to date my girlfriend Emily. She calls Emily her wifey and follows her around like a lost puppy. Amy says that Emily is our girlfriend, and I swear she gets jealous when I interact with her. Then, last week, I got home from work, and as I walked through the door, I could hear them chatting in the living room. This isn't out of the ordinary. It was what I heard that really bothered me. My sister said, "Holy, I have such a crush on you." In the most lustful voice I've ever heard. I really hated typing that. Emily laughed, and their conversation moved on, but it really didn't sit well with me, so later on, I asked Emily what they were talking about. I think context is important. She told me that they went shopping earlier in the day and were doing a little fashion show for each other. She said that those kinds of comments are normal between girlfriends and it's nothing to worry about. It made sense to me and I trust Emily. I decided to talk to Amy. I asked her how their shopping spree went, etc., and then gently asked her what the crush comment was about. She got very defensive and accused me of being jealous of her relationship with Emily. I'm not worried about Emily doing anything behind my back to betray me, and I never have. There's just something about the way my sister is acting that irks me, and I don't know how to approach this without blowing up on any of our relationships.
Am I the asshole if I uninvite my sister-in-law from my baby shower because she's infertile and is always sad about it whenever we talk about babies? I, 28 female, am 29 weeks pregnant with fraternal twins, a boy and a girl. I was lucky enough to get pregnant almost immediately after going off birth control. My sister-in-law, 38 female, who I'll call Jane, has fertility issues. She hasn't been able to have a baby after more than a decade of trying and multiple rounds of IVF. A few days ago, my family all came over to my house to hang out. I told them I finished decorating my nursery and my mom, sister, and other sister-in-law all wanted to see it, so I took them in to see it. Jane looked unhappy when I mentioned the nursery and she said she would rather not see it. She went out to the porch while we were inside. We stayed in the nursery for a while and eventually Jane came in because it was too hot outside. We were talking about babies. My sister and other sister-in-law both have young children and Jane looked a bit uncomfortable with the conversation. My sister said that I was really lucky to get pregnant with twins right after I started trying. After that, Jane started crying and left the room. We all went after her to talk to her, and she said that she feels awful having to constantly hear about our babies. Jane went on a long rant about how she feels excluded because she's the only one of us without a child now. She thinks her mom treats her less than my sister and my other sister-in-law because they have kids, and now that I'm pregnant, we don't talk about anything but kids. She says it's insensitive when we know that she's infertile. She was like this for all of my sister and my sister-in-law's pregnancy. Now, I think that Jane needs to be talking to somebody. She does. If you've been struggling with this for 10 years and you are still upset every single time someone in your family gets pregnant, this is something that you are not handling well on your own. You need to go and talk to someone so that they can help you navigate your emotions and process this so you can react in a bit more of a healthy way. With that being said, you guys know that your sister-in-law is struggling to have a baby. You know this. You know this, yet we are all together. We are all hanging out at my house together. How about we just have at least one conversation one day where we're not just talking about the kids? It's not hard. It's not hard. We can make the conscious decision to be sensitive to somebody for fun. Once a month, one meetup out of the week. Let's do something. I'd be the asshole if I did that. I feel bad for her, but she can't keep bringing negativity to all of our celebrations. I told my mom that I want to uninvite her. She said that I shouldn't because she's family. We need to support her instead of excluding her even more. Would I be the asshole? No, I don't think you would be the asshole for uninviting her, because you said that she insists on coming to all baby showers, gender reveals, and birthday parties, but then sits in the corner miserable and fries. That she's doing for attention, and we are absolutely not going to allow that. You can stay the fuck home if you can't emotionally, you cannot handle being at the baby shower. Stay the fuck home. You're not the asshole for that. As well, your mom's comment saying that because she's family, you need to support her. The support that she needs right now is telling her you acting this way will no longer be accepted. We need you to go and seek help. That's the best way that you can help her. Absolutely. Tell her she can't come because this is not fair to us. While you're worried about people being fair to you, you're being unfair to me. This is my first pregnancy. I'm entitled to enjoy it. We need you to go and speak to somebody and get some help. Okay, so I came down to the comment section and someone asked the same question that I did. Like, do you guys hang out without there being baby, without it being baby obsessed all the time? And OP stated that her sister and other sister-in-law have been bringing their babies everywhere. So even before she was pregnant, all of their hangouts have been very baby-centric for a few years now. And I think this is going to be a situation where you guys can come over to my house to hang out, then we can go and get lunch together and not talk about the babies for an hour. We can 100% do that. I think everybody sucks. I think Jane sucks for putting her misery off on her family. I think her family sucks for not even trying to meet Jane halfway. Be a bit sensitive. I'm not saying you have to give in to her, but be just a little bit sensitive.
Am I the asshole for ordering pizza even though we had dinner reservations? We were supposed to go out with my family for dinner, but I was craving pizza all day and I was so hungry, so I asked my husband if he would buy me some. We ordered pizza at 5:45 p.m. and we had dinner reservations for 8:30 p.m. When the pizza arrived, everybody wanted some, but my sister was upset because she wanted to go to the restaurant, so she refused to eat any. Nobody wanted to go out after they had eaten the pizza because they were full, so my dad told my husband he should cancel our reservation. My sister is blaming me for us not going to the restaurant and has accused me of making everything about myself. My parents have tried to speak with her, and my dad told her I was pregnant, so I needed to eat when I was hungry. This only made her even more angry with me. It's difficult to get a reservation at the restaurant we were supposed to go to, so I understand why she was initially upset we never went, as she was excited to go. However, my husband knows the owner and has promised he would make another reservation before we went home. My sister doesn't want me to be invited as she thinks I'll ruin it again, which I think is an overreaction. Am I the asshole?
Me and my cousin are officially married, guys. Story time. I'm just over the moon. Like, nothing can ever bring me down. But I feel like I need to give you a bit of background as to how we even got here. My love life was horrendous growing up. I could just never find the right person for me. No, that it's just, I don't even want to revisit it because it's quite traumatic. And another thing that I should probably know is that me and my family are not close at all. Don't mean me and my parents. I mean like extended family. We're not close to our aunties. We're not close to our grandparents. Like everyone dislike each other, but no one's really close. However, one person I've always been real close to is my eldest cousin, actually, surprisingly. So we actually have a 10-year age gap. There is quite an age gap between us. All of our life, it has never been in like that sort of way. But just out of the whole family, we've been the closest. And then when we got to a certain age, we started going on holidays together, moved into a new flat, and I helped him move in. And then basically one night changed all of that. So me and him were just having some drinks. This was quite normal for us. And we got to quite like a deep subject where how it is quite sad that no one's really close in our family. Then we were kind of saying how lucky we are to kind of have the relationship me and him have. We also got into the subject of love life. I was just saying how horrendous mine was. I just never found a genuine connection with anyone. And then he jokingly said, but with me. And I think you can kind of guess what happened from then on out. We were just kind of talking. We were very conscious of how touchy the subject could be. So we took it very slow. We made sure we were both okay in every single step. And it just ended up working out. Never thought my soulmate would be my cousin, whether it is, and there's nothing either of us can do about that. And then the time of the wedding rolled around, and it's finally time to tell our parents what's been happening, basically. We didn't tell them any step of the way. I was so shocked to find out that they were completely okay with this. Like, let us talk, they heard us straight away, and that's kind of it.
My female 17 dad, male 45, has gotten my sister, female 23, pregnant, and I'm the only one freaking out about this. I need advice. So yeah, this is a throwaway because what the actual hell? So first, not strictly incestuous, my family tree has got many branches. So my mother had my sister Becky with her high school sweetheart before her relationship with my dad. Becky lived with my mother's parents for a long time, pretty much from her birth until I was about 3 years old. My mother's and dad's relationship had broken down by the time I was 1, so he was out of the picture. Becky and my dad shared no blood, but he met her as a child many times. He was dating her mother. He has been in her life, even if it was only because of me. Allegedly, the story goes that last year at a family get-together, they started talking and he saw her as the adult she was and not the child he knew. I want the ground to swallow me whole. They kept their relationship secret and have been exclusive for a few months. They decided to tell everyone when they couldn't hide Becky's pregnancy anymore. She is 4-ish months pregnant and not showing. So now I'm going to have a sister/niece or brother/nephew. Is that how this works? And I have to be okay with this? My mother doesn't seem to effing care. She just keeps saying Becky is an adult. I told my dad I think he's way overstepping some quite obvious boundaries. I don't want to think of my dad as being a predator, but I don't understand how he can separate the child from the adult. Not to mention the 20-plus year age gap. I know it's cool for some, but they are not on equal levels. I don't know what Becky's dad thinks about this because as far as I am aware, he hasn't been in the picture for a while. My grandpa has passed, but my grandma seems to see no issues with it because dad never really acted like Becky's dad. Am I blowing this out of proportion? This is weird. Why is no one else shocked? I honestly think I am angry. I just need some perspective.
Am I wrong for refusing to eat food at my friend's house because her kid played with it? Today, I, 27 female, visited my friend Tanya, 25 female, to have a coffee and cake and exchange our gifts. My friend has a 2-year-old son. Tanya brought out some food and left it on the table for everyone to enjoy. Her husband and some of his mates were also there. Basically, it was cake and some finger food. I've been drinking my coffee and chatting it up when I noticed her son Nate run up to the table, grab some food, take a bite, then put it back on. Tanya said nothing. I saw him do that again, run up to the table, lick something, and put it back. Nate tends to have his hands in his mouth, and he kept grabbing food and rearranging it on the plates with his fingers that were just in his mouth. Tanya and her husband said nothing, even though they saw exactly what's been happening. I have to say I was grossed out and I didn't want any food. I kept my mouth shut though and said absolutely nothing. Just carried on drinking my coffee and chatting away. Tanya kept asking me if I wanted some food and cake, and I tried to excuse myself saying that I wasn't hungry, but it looked delicious. Sadly, Tanya grew frustrated with me not eating anything and became more and more pushy. She noticed that one of the other guys wasn't eating either and she got really upset. She started complaining how she slaved away in the kitchen and how we're ungrateful and should be polite enough to eat at least some of it. I tried my best to say nothing, but she kept holding the plate in front of me, expecting me to grab something. The same plate I saw Nate rearranging with his fingers, touching all the food. She kept saying, just take one, you can eat it later, and wouldn't let it go. I broke and told her that I won't eat it because Nate left his saliva all over it while playing with the food. She got really offended, saying it was just a kid and it wasn't disgusting, and I should get over it, and if she can eat the food, I should be able to. I said that I'm sorry, but I can't eat it, and she told me to get the out and don't come back without an apology. I was completely surprised. The other guy looked surprised too. I just grabbed my stuff and left. I'm wondering, was I the asshole for refusing the food? I would never shove food down your throat. Okay, if you're saying no, people have dietary restriction, they don't want to eat, whatever it is, leave them alone. 2, just because you eat your kids' nasty ass shit doesn't mean other people want to either. I'll eat my nephews and nieces stuff, right? Because that's my nephew and niece. I know where their hands have been. It's okay. But I would never, if I saw a stranger's kid lick something, ew, absolutely not. And the fact that you don't see a problem with it, if I had saw that, but what are you doing? Pa, pa, pa. And then go get a plate of new food. That's not okay.
Am I cheating on my husband? Story time. Okay, so me and my husband have been happily married for coming up to 3 years now. However, the one issue in this relationship is he is such a jealous man. I work in finance, which means it is very male oriented, okay? And I'm just so used to this working environment because it's just what I've always been in. However, this was one of the first things my husband said, like when I first met him. I actually made some comments that really put me off him. I got a bit of like the fear. Basically just being like really chauvinistic, and it's basically telling me how I basically love that I work with a bunch of men. No, they do flirt with me all the time. However, I'd kind of go along with this joke. I'd be like, hi, yeah, whatever. Like, you just wish you worked with me all day. Like, I'd kind of make a joke out of it. It'd get quite annoying in the end. Anyway, I actually really luckily like have had this boy in my life for a long time, basically. So I went to school and university with this same guy. Let's call him Mark. So Mark has been in my life forever. We did the exact same university degree. We graduated at the exact same time. We actually ended up getting like the exact same job, which is what we're both in now. I am just very, very close to Mark. Mark isn't gay. However, his type is not me. Let me tell you that now. It actually couldn't be further from me. I'm glad, because my type also isn't him. Like, I know everyone says this, however, have never kissed, we've never flirted, never thought of each other in that way. It honestly irritates us both so much. Now, the other day, me and my husband got into an argument because he was saying how I spend a lot of time with Mark and not a lot of time with him. And I was really confused about this because I don't really see Mark much like outside of work anymore. Both happily married. He has 2 kids on the way. He's got some twins. Outside of work, ever since we both got into like proper relationships, we never see each other anymore. However, my husband is stating that because I work with him all day, I'm spending more time with him than I am with my husband. Now my husband is asking me to leave my job because he's not happy with how much time I spend with Mark. And not only did my husband have a massive go at me in front of everyone, can I just say, he also went out and kissed his work wife. He was saying that basically if I can shack up with Mark, which I don't, I can kiss his work wife. It's complete sense, doesn't it? Do I try and think of like a way to get back at my husband? Do I simply leave him? Like what is my next options here?
Am I the asshole for demanding my husband to pay me the $1,000 he spent behind my back? My husband, 33, and I, 31, used to have a 2-income home, but in 2020, we've lost our home and one of our incomes, his. We moved into a smaller apartment, had to sell many things, and give up most of our costly habits. My husband has an expensive habit of going to the spa for a weekly massage session. We live in an urban area, so this stuff is ridiculously expensive. A single session is $250, and he has to have it every week, so that would be nearly $1,000 a month. I offered him to have his session at a regular spa, but no. He has to get it from that luxurious spa near the restaurant we used to go to, saying the lady who gives the massage is an expert and he's used to her. Problem is, I'm the only income earner and I'm struggling to make ends meet. I'm also pregnant and need to save money to prepare a nursery. I told him to cut his sessions, but he refused. I told him I won't be paying for them anymore, and he said he'd get the money himself. Yesterday I checked and saw that he's been using my credit card for his sessions for a whole month and has maxed out completely. I found that out when I went shopping for baby essentials and the cashier said I had no money. I had to return everything, then went home and went off on him. I told him he maxed my card out and he made me look like an idiot at the store. He said he didn't tell me because he knew I'd have an issue with it. I demanded he pay me back the $1,000 he spent, but he refused. I yelled at him, calling him irresponsible, and he got upset and called me selfish and to stop playing victim, and that this is affecting us both since he's going to be a parent too, and it's stressful for him, and I keep dismissing his own needs as a human. I went upstairs and he went out. He started giving me silent, but I kept demanding the money back. He said I shouldn't expect it back since we're married, and that my money is technically his, and I should stop using his unemployment against him.
Am I the asshole for refusing to go to my best guy friend's wedding and telling my parents I'm gonna cut them off? I grew up with my family and another family whose parents were best friends with mine since high school. My parents had me, 28 female, and my 2 older brothers, 31 and 35 male, while their friends had 4 boys, 27 male, 29 male, 30 male, and 37 male. Growing up was pretty nice, but the boys used to pick on me a lot and exclude me during their girls or yucky phase. I wouldn't say I see these boys as brothers, but maybe as cousins. I was close to 27 and 29 male when we were little. I will call them Adam and Jake. Until we were 15, we were really close and did a lot together. I don't talk to Jake much anymore. No hard feelings, but he grew up to be a classic tech bro and can be pretty condescending. However, our families are obsessed with the idea of us ending up together. The other guys are already married and Adam is gay. They've always pushed for us to be together. They would make us go to the store alone at Christmas, tell us both an earlier time to meet at the restaurant for Dad's birthday, and they would spend a lot of time talking him up, things like that. How uncomfortable. That's so awkward. Then both Jake and I met our significant others. I've been with my fiance for 5 years, and Jake met his fiance 3 years ago. Our families have been very disappointed and haven't welcomed our significant others warmly. One Christmas, I took Jake's fiance aside, Tracy, and I explained the weird family lore to her, with Jake just like we did with my fiance. We've assured her that it's just a weird thing that our family thinks and that Jake and I have not been close for ages and we've never had more than a friendly relationship. Ironically, having to stand against our parents made us all a little closer. That's fucking crazy. Your parents are so dead set on you guys being together. They are being mean and rude to your significant others. That is fucked up. But now we come to the problem. Jake and Tracy are going to get married soon, and it's been chaos. Our parents have upped their antics by 2,000%. Family dinners are full of, "Oh, we thought you two would get married" conversations. They brought out a picture that I apparently drew of me and Jake when we were little, of us getting married. I suspect they actually made it. It didn't look like it was made by an actual child. Wow, these people are pulling out this is unhinged. This behavior is crazy. They were cornering Tracy about making me the matron of honor and letting me wear white. Whoa. Also, his brothers and my brothers have joined in, making jokes about us being star-crossed lovers and calling me the missus. This is so disrespectful. I've distanced myself heavily from my family during that time. I stopped going home after talking to them and it did nothing. One day, one of my brothers invited me out. He said that it was just my 2 brothers and me. So I went to his, no, don't do it. It's a trap. I don't know what he's setting up, but it's a trap. So I went to his apartment, and when I arrived, it was Jake's bachelor party. One of his brothers screamed out that the stripper was here. How fucking disrespectful. One of Jake's brothers, meaning one of the other 3 boys that she grew up with, seen her and yelled out, "The stripper is here," as if he hasn't seen this girl grow up and he knows good and fucking well she is not a goddamn stripper. Disrespected her so bad. Girl, no, you're not the asshole. Not at all. I wanted to leave, but the next train didn't leave until midnight, and it wasn't the safest neighborhood, so I stayed. They tried to make me drink. They were constantly physically pushing me and Jake together, and they even locked us in my brother's bedroom. Call the police. Call the fucking police. These men are predators. These men are predators because they are going way too far with their sister. Trying to force her to be with someone that she has clearly stated she doesn't want to be with. She's in a whole relationship and engaged for the past 5 years. I am mortified. Oh my God. I could hear laughing from the other side. Jake and I didn't talk much. He apologized to me and asked me if I could not come to the wedding as I made Tracy uncomfortable. I completely understood, and I told him at that point I wasn't planning to go anymore. Jake offered to drive me home as he was also completely sober. When they opened the door, he said that we were leaving. In their heads, that meant we were going to go be intimate or something, because then all the caveman sounds started. The next day, my phone was blowing up. Someone uploaded a video of me and Jake leaving and captioned it, "Finally." It was really awkward. I'm clearly uncomfortable, and so is Jake as we exit the apartment and we enter his car. There were comments, calls, and text messages. Tracy called me crying and cursing at me. Jake called me apologizing and telling me that he tried to explain. My mom and his mother sent me a bunch of text messages saying how proud they are and that it was about time. My fiance is understanding, but he wants me to make clearer boundaries with my family. I drove past their house and they were all there. They didn't even let me talk and they were just love bombing me. I started screaming and I told them that Jake and I have never and will never be together, and I will not be leaving my loving fiance, that I won't be going to Jake's wedding, and if they kept up with this, I would cut every single one of them off because I'm tired and just want to live my life and not their incest fairy tale. Good girl. Good girl. I'm sorry that you had to go through what you went through, but I am so proud of you. I am so fucking proud of you for going in there and getting all of that shit off your chest. I am so proud of you. I'm so sorry that your family is pushing this on you and literally trying to destroy your relationship, trying to force you and someone that you are not interested in that way together. But I am so proud of you. By the end of my meltdown, my mother and his mother were crying. My father just told me to get out. Since then, I've been getting messages from my brothers calling me a bitch for treating my family like that because they only wanted what was best for me. So, am I the asshole? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You are entitled to choose who you want to be with. You are entitled to be with who you want to be with. Whatever the fuck your family has cooking in their head, that's their fucking problem and their problem alone. They have gone too far. Way too far. Thank God Jake was sober and isn't a monster. Thank God Jake hasn't cooked that same shit up in his head and he feels the same way you do, because they could have literally put you in harm's way and they don't give a fuck about that, baby girl. I am so sorry, but you are not the asshole, and cutting your family off is the absolute best thing that you can do for yourself. Now, we have all seen people that would be like, oh my gosh, you guys would be so cute together. You guys should date. If one person says no, that's where the fuck it stays. You don't become obsessed and literally try to force them together. They tried to get this girl drunk, to force her into a room with someone she is not interested in, and she has been engaged for 5 years. Girl, no. Baby, you are not the asshole, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise. Honestly, don't listen to what your family says, because clearly they don't want what's best for you, because nowhere in anywhere does it say getting a girl intoxicated at a party after you lied to her and forcing her into a room and locking her in there with the man is what is best for her. So baby girl, their opinions are null and void. Cut them off and be happy with your fiance. Surround yourself with people who actually love you, because this is not okay. Family or not, they deserve to be cut the fuck off. Okay, so OP did add an edit that I forgot to read, and she says that Uber wasn't an option because taxis and Ubers are stupid expensive there. Also, they don't have a car. That's why the train is her main mode of transportation. And also, Tracy was away at the time, and her fiance was working the night shift the night that this happened.
How do I make my girlfriend feel comfortable with the friendship group containing my ex? Do you want to say hi to the camera? Yeah. Say hi. Be like, hey, I'm Archie. Say hi, world. I, 34 male, met my girlfriend, 30 female, 8 months ago on a dating app, and we've been official for about 4 months. I dated my most recent ex, 28 female, for 2 years. We were very close friends before getting together and share much of the same friends. This made the breakup, which took place about 15 months ago, incredibly difficult. We initially attended social events separately, and then after a while started hanging out together with our friends. It's taken a lot of work to get to this point, and I'm proud we've been able to do this. This has made for a very tricky situation with my girlfriend. I introduced her to some of my friends, but inevitably, she was eventually at an event with my ex. They met a few weeks ago, and since then, my girlfriend has been really anxious. She knows that me and my ex see each other socially and get on. I've done everything I can to be understanding, to reassure her, but she's got it into her head that I'm going to leave her for my ex. She said that because we are friendly towards each other, she's worried I'm not over her. Since then, every time I've seen my girlfriend, she's been getting worse. I'd say she's having spiraling thoughts and bad anxiety. She won't really talk about it in person and seems to shut down. Then we end up talking about it over text, which I don't like. She's worried about me hanging out with my friends because my ex might be there. This is a red line for me. I can't abandon my social life. I'm at a loss about what to do. I really like this girl and I can see it going somewhere. However, I can't be going through this every week. And I'm also worried that if I was to date someone else in the future, the presence of my ex might be a problem.
I just got engaged to my dad's boyfriend. Story time. So my mum and dad got divorced when I was really, really young and my dad moved out. They definitely were not a happy family and my mum kind of wanted rid of him as quickly as possible. When my dad moved out, I didn't really keep in contact with him too much. I wasn't a fan of how he treated my mum basically. As you can kind of guess, he came out to us and he literally said to my mum that he knew this all along. However, he couldn't be bothered with the grief from his family and friends, so he just decided to settle with my mum. And as soon as he said that, to literally all us kids and my mum, immediately knew I just weren't really going to see him as soon as he moved out. As my life went on, I just decided maybe it would be good to at least be in contact with my dad just in case anything happened. I would still like to know. I started in really, really small baby steps and I just simply added him on Facebook and I explained to him why I added him basically and for him to not get too excited. To which he replied to that message, "Don't worry, I wasn't." This man is such an idiot. And after a few interactions, I was questioning my decision, whether I still wanted to even know if anything happened. However, I stuck to my guns. I still said I want to know. So after a bit of time passed, I soon found out that my dad had a new boyfriend. And apparently they were really, really new. And after a little bit of investigation work, I found out dad's new boyfriend, let's call him Mark. This was Mark's first boyfriend. I'd been previously in a really, really long-term relationship with a girl. And to be honest, I had a feeling he was like a bit of a gold digger. And during this time, my dad was being so horrible to my mum. I don't think I can actually say. I wanted to find out more about what my dad's been getting up to with Mark. So I told my dad I wanted to meet him and I also wanted to meet Mark. My dad agreed. He decided to finally invite me around to this apartment he's been living in, have dinner with him and Mark. And I was so excited because I couldn't wait to give my mum all the tea. And oh my God, Mark was beautiful. Like one of the prettiest men I've ever seen in my entire life. And I knew right then and there he was not gay. He was not swinging for my dad, basically. I knew that immediately. I also knew that because he was giving me the eye. And I thought, perfect. Initially, I literally just thought maybe I'll be getting back at my dad by making this relationship as my own. After a few months of messing around, with Mark, we very, very quickly realised this is actually something quite serious for both of us. And at this point, he was still my dad's boyfriend. However, they weren't actually seeing each other very often. My dad had a few boyfriends, so one of the others kept him entertained. And I was telling my mum about this situation the whole time and she was completely for it. Literally keeping her updated real time. So she knew at the beginning it was kind of like a vendetta against my dad and then it turned into something. And then before I knew it, Mark was on one knee for me and he popped the question and now we're just thinking of how to tell my dad because he too despises my dad now after knowing what he knows. I cannot wait to tell him and see his face.
Would I be the asshole for dumping my girlfriend after she ignored my calls and messages and went clubbing while I was undergoing emergency surgery? I, 22 male, and my girlfriend, 22 female, have been together for 5 years. We've been together since high school, and until recently, I've always considered her to be my future wife. I've even bought a ring and was planning on proposing over the coming months. Well, last weekend, it was my girlfriend's best friend's birthday. She and her friends booked a private lounge at a club. Obviously, I didn't go since 1, I wasn't invited, and 2, I hate clubbing or anything associated with that. I was actually looking forward to spending an evening alone and just binging Netflix or something. Well, my girlfriend left around 9 p.m. and I just crashed on the couch and watched some YouTube. Well, around 11 p.m., I started to feel this distinct stomach pain. The pain you experience when someone hits you in the nuts. It wasn't bad at first, and I just thought my body was playing some tricks on me, but in the span of about 5 minutes, the pain just kept getting worse until I was basically stuck in the fetal position on the couch. Again, initially, I just thought that the pain would go away, but then I pulled down my pants, and it felt like my right testicle was starting to swell. I did not read this one before. Oh my God.
Yeah, I definitely relate.
The moment I tried to get up and grab my phone to inspect whatever the fuck was happening to me, I just collapsed to the floor. That was probably the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. Imagine being pelted in the nuts over and over again. I did manage to crawl to the table next to the couch to get my phone. I immediately tried calling my girlfriend, but she declined my call. I then texted her that something was wrong and could she come home immediately. The club she went to is like a 5-minute walk from our apartment. I just put the phone down and started throwing up because of the pain. After throwing up for like a minute, it felt like the pain started to cool down a bit, and I grabbed my phone again, and that's when I saw her response. She just replied with a, quote, "What is it?" and like an emoji that's like an annoyed face, like,
Oh.
I tried calling her again, but as expected, she just declined it again. I then texted her that I need to go to the hospital now. She then asked for what, and I just replied with, "My balls hurt." I then just dialed for emergency services. I explained my situation to the emergency responder, and she asked if there was somebody that could drive me to the hospital, and I stupidly said yes. I thought my girlfriend would be home soon, and she would drive me to the hospital. I felt embarrassed to call an ambulance because my balls hurt. After I told the emergency responder this, she then told me that she would call me again in 10 minutes to make sure I was being driven to the hospital. I then put down my phone and went back to vomiting on our carpet. Again, after the pain went away for a bit, I checked my phone and saw that my girlfriend responded with laughing emojis. I again tried to call her, but as expected, she just declined again. She texted me that this wasn't the time to play games, and she then told me that if I texted or called her again, she would block my number.
Oh my gosh.
I again tried calling her, but she declined again. And when I tried calling her a second time, I realized she did actually block me. I went back to curling up on the floor, and now I started shivering. At this point, I didn't care about being embarrassed and just called emergency services again and asked for an ambulance. It felt like an eternity, but the ambulance eventually came and rushed me to the hospital. I don't remember much of surgery since I was sedated, but I remember waking up eventually, and my right testicle was being stitched together. The doctor informed me that I had testicular torsion, and I was extremely lucky to reach the hospital in time.
Oh my.
I could have easily have been forced to surgically remove my testicle. I checked my phone and saw the missed calls and messages my girlfriend left me. In summary, she came home from clubbing and smelled the vomit in our carpet. When she saw the vomit on the floor, she got mad and tried searching the apartment to find me. When she realized I wasn't there, only then did it hit her that I was actually being serious. I just texted her in which hospital I was staying at and my room number, and then went to sleep. I woke up the next morning and saw my girlfriend sleeping on the couch next to my hospital bed. After she woke up, she started bombarding me with apologies. She thought I was joking, that I was trying to ruin their night, etc. I didn't have the energy to argue, so I just kept quiet. I was beyond hurt by what she did, and I wanted to break up with her then and there. Why the fuck would somebody ignore messages where their partner is begging them to come home? Not only that, she stayed in a club until 3 a.m. and didn't even consider going home to check on me. She did stay with me in the hospital for the remaining 2 days I was admitted there and did take good care of me, but I was still beyond pissed at her. Ever since coming home yesterday, I've been wanting to dump her, but at the same time, I feel like she genuinely thought I was joking and made a mistake. I feel conflicted and don't know how to proceed with this situation. Would I be the asshole if I dumped her? Am I overreacting?
I feel like people are always so quick to say, dump him, like dump her. I feel like this is so justified. The only thing that's holding me back from going full force, like, yes, dump her, is that he responded to her by saying, "My balls hurt." And that's it.
Yeah.
And there was never any more context.
I know.
And you are not in the wrong, OP. But maybe a little bit more context, like, hey, I'm actually dying
Yeah.
and my balls are doing something
I know.
very dangerous.
I know, because like she could have interpreted that as like
Yeah.
a sexual thing,
Exactly.
like, oh, like blue balls,
balls,
like
yeah.
you just want me to come home so we can hook
Yeah.
up. And then I'm like, is there more context we're missing where like he's cried wolf before, where she's
Yeah.
been at the club
Yeah.
and been like, can you come home? Like, I'm not feeling well. Like, is this like a little boy who cried wolf story? Or like, why did she automatically go to assuming, oh, I thought you were just trying to ruin my night?
It's like the boy who cried balls.
Yeah.
I showed up to my cousin's wedding wearing an almost identical dress as the soon-to-be bride. So my 27 female cousin, 29 female, is soon getting married. The thing is, our families have been in no contact for the last 10 to 12 years because of some issues between our fathers. The feud recently came to an end because all the kids are grown up and we kind of want to keep our differences aside and enjoy the upcoming events. We all had a little reunion. The issue started with my cousin's engagement party. Now I want to highlight that I take good care of myself. I do yoga and dance to stay fit. On some special occasions, I love to dress up a lot. Makes me feel good and confident. My cousin is a doctor, and due to her schedule, she has put on some weight. But I respect her because her profession is tougher than mine. I'm an engineer. For her engagement, I wore a nice beautiful peach colored gown. It wasn't a new one. This was a 3-year-old gift from someone. We are Indians, and brides generally prefer to wear lehengas or saris. Sorry if I screwed that up. Even though we have reconciled as a family, my sister never involved me with her planning or anything related to her wedding, and I was totally okay with that. When me and my mother arrived at the location of the event, all was good, but the bride was late. People from the groom's side welcomed us nicely, and I was feeling great. My cousin was almost 2 hours late, but when she arrived with her 2 besties, I could feel the tension between us rising high. To my horror, she was wearing a peach-colored gown exactly like mine, but it was more glittery. Only the bottom part of her dress was slightly different. She went on without acknowledging my existence. My mom noticed me but told me to relax as it was an accident and to enjoy myself. She went ahead to help my auntie with further preparations. I took a seat in the corner with my other cousin. When I was talking to him, one of the bride's bestie came to talk. I thought she was there to invite me to join them, but she straight up told me to change my dress. I was speechless. I told her no because 1, there was nothing else to wear, and 2, my house was several kilometers away and it would take me almost 2 hours to do so. She started suggesting different options for buying a new dress, or she could lend me some clothes. I firmly told her no. My mom and dad were unaware of all of this. She kept arguing with me but gave up. When the ceremony started, my cousin was looking fine and smiled at me because in the end, she was getting engaged to the love of her life. We both got lots of compliments and I thought the drama was over. But her friends kept giving me side eyes throughout the event, and today one of them tried to contact me on Instagram. The most hurtful thing was the fact that there was an after party thrown by the bride and groom for all the cousins and their special friends, but I wasn't invited. I kind of feel like an asshole, but I need an honest opinion.
Am I the asshole for keeping my name change a secret for 5 years? Storytime. So my parents decided to name me and my sister from American states. Apparently they really liked geographical names. However, I think there's a huge difference between naming your kid Paris or Vienna and literal states. And to be fair, my sister's name isn't as bad as mine. My sister is called Arizona and she's actually chosen to keep her name. To be fair, I think it's one of the better state names. Whereas me, on the other hand, I was called Pennsylvania. It's weird. I know it's weird. I don't know why my parents ever thought that was a good name. Now, for as long as I can remember, literally everyone in my life, except for my parents, have called me Penny or Pen. I've liked it. I've not really struggled with my name for that reason. However, my parents have always insisted that everyone calls me by my full name because they're so proud of it. It actually got to the point where if my teachers ever wrote on my homework or assignments or reports Penny or Pen instead of Pennsylvania, my parents would quite literally scold them. Like, they would go in. And then when I started college and I finally started getting my own set of friends and my parents weren't there to ruin stuff, everyone called me Pen and everyone thought my name was Penelope just because that's normally what you call someone. My boyfriend's mum actually called me Penelope by accident once because she just automatically thought Pen was short for that. So when I was 21, I decided to get my name legally changed. Now, I was quite nervous to do this purely for my parents' reaction, but I thought whilst I'm away and until any major life changes, can get away with it. You know, they won't need to know anytime soon. I kept this a secret for so many years, and that was until I'm supposed to be getting married this summer. I am so excited. However, as many of you know, during a wedding ceremony, you have to say your full legal name out loud. That's going to be a little issue, considering my name is no longer Pennsylvania. So before the wedding, I decided to invite both my mum and dad round and tell them I was so nervous. As you can kind of guess, this didn't go down very well at all. I had to really calmly explain, however, they were not listening and they got very angry and actually said, not coming to the wedding. Now I need to know if I am the arsehole for changing my name. I don't feel like I am, but please let me know.
My twin sister is trying to ruin my life. Growing up, we were inseparable. In high school, we went to different schools. I think this is when she developed her superiority complex because I was homeschooled and she attended public school. She would criticize me, tell me I'm sheltered, ghetto, and stupid, and just treat me lesser than her. Fast forward to life after college. I have much more savings than her. I'm employed. I have a great job lined up for my career. I speak another language and have traveled the world alone at 22. She stayed in a toxic relationship where her ex physically assaulted me. She has no job experience and is broke. She recently moved back in with my parents where I live before my new job starts. She lies to me over and over about the smallest things and big things. She steals my clothes and makeup that I buy. I even got her job at my current workplace, and she just stopped showing up without notice to stay with a boy for a couple weeks. When she worked with me, our commute is 30 minutes, and she would never volunteer to drive us. So I would pick her up and drop her off at work every time. I never received a thank you. Everyone wants a twin, but they don't know what it's really like. She thinks she can just get away with everything because she's my sister. I'm so done with her after begging her to change, and she promised to, but remains the same. Even worse. When I confront her, I'm told I have a victim complex, and that I'm acting like my mom. I feel like she is using me and gaslighting me.